In this video, you will learn how to use algebra to solve real-world problems. Now, when you are trying to translate your problem into math or into algebra, what you need to do is to read the problem carefully, and when you read, try to decide what the unknowns are. So what is the question asking for? Whatever the question is asking for, you want to choose a variable to represent the unknowns. And then from there, you can reread the problem to write an equation and then solve the equation to find your unknown value. And then at the end, you can check your results to make sure that you have the correct solution. So what I'm going to do in the next few moments is I'm going to walk you through a few examples where you need to go through this process in order to solve your problem. So example 1, we are told that Lester has twice as much money as Kathy, and together they have $129. And the question is, how much money does each person have? So as you begin, you want to determine what your unknown values are. So here, our unknown is how much money both Lester and Kathy have. So I need to choose a variable. Notice that Lester's amount is based off of Kathy's amount. So I can let Kathy's amount be the variable. So let K equal Kathy's amount. And then from there, Lester's amount is 2 times that. So Lester's amount would be 2 times K. So we have established the unknowns. We have set up our variables. Now from here, we can set up our equation. So thinking through logically here, we know that if I take Lester's money, add that with Kathy's money, that gives me the total amount of money. So I have Lester plus Kathy's money, that equals my total. Well, Kathy's was K, Lester's was 2K, and then your total was 129. So that can be my equation. You have K plus 2K equals 129. And then from here we can solve that equation. K plus 2K would give me 3K. And then to get rid of the 3, I divide both sides by 3. That would give me 129 over 3 on the right side. And that would give me 43. So K is 43, which means that Kathy has $43, and then Lester has 2 times that, which would be $86. So we have solved, and we can double check by plugging these numbers back in. So if we plug a 43 in for K, so we have 43 in for K, then 2K is 86. If I add those together, I should get 129. And that's what I do get, so therefore we have the correct solution. Example 2. You have a piece of wood that is 50 inches long and is cut into 2 pieces. One piece is 6 inches longer than the other. What are the lengths of the pieces? So step 1 is to determine the unknown values. So here the unknown is the length of the pieces. So we can, from there, choose a variable to represent our unknown. So in this case, we know that there's a shorter piece and a longer piece. So it doesn't matter in this case which one will be our variable. We can let the shorter length be x. And we know from there that the longer piece is 6 inches more. So if we take this x and add 6 inches to it, that will equal your longer length. So the longer length is x plus 6. So from here we can then use that information to set up our equation. We know that the 2 pieces together will equal 50 inches total. So if I take x plus 6, we know that must equal 50. So from here I can solve. X plus x would be 2x. So I have 2x plus 6 equals 50. And then from here, we need to get rid of the 2 and the 6. And to do that, we can do reverse order of operations. So we can get rid of the addition first. So to get rid of the plus 6, we do the opposite of adding 6, which is subtracting 6. So I subtract 6 from both sides. On the left, I have 2x, and on the right, I have 50 minus 6, which is 44. And then I can get rid of this 2 by dividing. So I divide both sides by 2. X would be 44 over 2, which is 22. So x is 22, which is the shorter length, and the longer length is 6 inches longer. So 22 plus 6 gives me 28. So I have my solution, and I can double check by adding those together to see if I get 50 inches back out. And I do. So therefore, these are my correct solutions. In example 3, Mike has $54 more than Shelley. Together, they have $262. How much money does each have? So step 1 is to determine your unknowns. And that is going to be how much money Mike has and how much money Shelley has. So using that information, we can establish our variables. So we know that Mike's amount is based off of Shelley's amount. So we can let Shelley's amount be our variable, and we'll let that be represented by S for Shelley. So if S is Shelley's amount, then Mike's amount is 54 more than that, which would be S plus 54. So I have S and S plus 54. Now from here I can set up my equation. I know that together they have $262. So if I add Mike's amount plus Shelley's amount, that total would equal 262. So I have S plus 54 equals 262. And then from here I can solve. So to solve, I have S plus S, which would give me 2S, and then plus 54 equals 262. So to solve, I can then do reverse order of operations. So I get rid of the addition first by subtracting. So I subtract 54 from both sides. On the left, I have 2S. On the right, 262 minus 54 would be 208. And then from here, I can get rid of the 2 by dividing. So divide both sides by 2. On the left, I have S. And on the right, I have 208 divided by 2, which would be 104. So I have solved where Shelley's amount, or the S value, is 104, which means Mike's amount is 54 more than that, which would be 158. So my solution is 104 and 158. And I can double check by plugging things back in, and I see that Mike has 54 more than Shelley, so that is correct with my answers. And if I add them together, I would get 262. So that is the correct solution. Example 4. Aaron took a taxi cab from his office to the airport. He had to pay a flat fee of $3 plus 85 cents per mile. The total cost was $8.95. How many miles was the taxi trip? So I begin by determining what my unknown is. So the unknown here is how many miles. So my variable, x, will be the number of miles. Now from here, to set up my equation with the variable, I need to think through what information is given in the problem. So I know that if I were to add my flat fee plus the mileage cost, that will equal my total cost. So this is my general setup. From here I can plug in the numbers in the variables. So the flat fee is $3. The total cost was $8.95. The tricky part is going to be the mileage cost. So I know that it's 85 cents per mile. So if I take 85 cents times the number of miles, that's going to give me the mileage cost. So I take 0.85 for 85 cents, multiply that by the number of miles, which is x. That is your unknown. So 0.85 times x would be this mileage cost. So my equation would be 3 plus 0.85x equals 8.95. So from here I can solve. I can do reverse order of operations. So I see the 3 being added and the 0.85 being multiplied. So I begin with addition first. and I move the addition over by subtracting. So I subtract 3.00 from both sides. And on the left side, I have 0.85x. And on the right side, 8.95 minus 3.00 would be 5.95. And then from here, I can get rid of the 0.85 by dividing. So I divide both sides by 0.85. And when I do that on the left side, these will cancel. On the right side, I have 5.95 divided by 0.85. I can think of this as 595 divided by 85. Because if I multiply the top and the bottom by 100, the decimal place moves 2 places for both top and bottom. So I simply do 595 divided by 85, and that answer is going to be 7, because 7 times 85 gives me 595. So my solution is x equals 7. So therefore, the trip was 7 miles long, because x was miles. And I can double check by plugging numbers back in. If I plug a 7 back in for x, I'd have 3 plus 0.85 times 7, which would indeed equal 8.95. So therefore, the trip was 7 miles. Example 5 deals with geometry. So you're told that a perimeter of a trapezoid is 80 centimeters. The parallel bases are 22 centimeters and 36 centimeters. The lengths of the other two sides are consecutive odd integers. What are the lengths of these other two sides? So when you begin, it's helpful to draw yourself a picture. So here's my picture of a trapezoid, where we have 2 parallel sides and the other 2 sides are not parallel. We're told that the parallel sides are 36 and 22. So 36 and 22. The lengths of the other 2 sides are consecutive odd integers. So that means if one side is x, then the other side is going to be x plus 2, because consecutive odd integers means that each number will be 2 more than the one before it, right? For example, if the first number is 5, then the other number, it's got to be 7. So that's 2 more than the first number. If the first number was 11, the next number is 13, because it's 2 more than that first number. So that's why it's x and x plus 2. So that is my picture. And we see that drawn a little more nicely right here. Now it says the perimeter is 80 centimeters. Perimeter, by definition, is the distance all the way around the shape. So that means if I add all these together, the 22 plus 36 plus x plus 2, that total would be 80. So from here I can solve. 22 plus 36, that would be 58. So 58, and then plus x, that would be 2x. So 58 plus 2x plus the 2, 58 plus 2 is 60. So I have 60 plus 2x equals 80. So to solve this, I can do reverse order of operations. So I do the addition and subtraction first. So we see a positive 60, and I see a 2 being multiplied. So I get rid of the 60 first by subtracting. 60 minus 60 cancels. I have 2x on the left, and then 20 on the right. To get rid of the 2, I can divide both sides by 2. So I have x on the left, and then 20 over 2 is 10 on the right. So x is 10, which means this side is 10, and then the other side is 2 more than that. So 10 plus 2 would give me 12. So my solution would be 10 and 12. And actually this question should have been asking consecutive even integers. So my apologies. This should have said even, and we see that our answers are even. All right. Example 6, we are given just information about a particular number. We are told that 4 less than half a number is 15. Find the number. So from here, we're just simply translating this statement into math notation. So when it says is 15, is means equals, and then 15 would be 15. So the question is, what do we put over here? So 4 less than half a number. Half a number would be 1/2 times a number, 1/2 times x. And then 4 less than that means you take that and subtract 4. So my equation would be 1/2 times x minus 4 equals 15. And that should be a 2, so 1/2. All right, and then from here we can solve this. So to solve, we need to get rid of this minus 4. And to do that, I do the opposite, which is add 4. So I add 4 to both sides. When I do that, the minus 4 and plus 4 will cancel. So I have 1/2 x on the left, and then 15 plus 4 is 19 on the right. Now the 1/2 is being multiplied with x. So to get rid of it, I do the inverse, which is divide. So I divide by 1/2, which is the same thing as multiplying by 2/1. So I multiply by 2/1 to get the 1/2 to cancel on the left side. So on the left, I have x, and then on the right, 2/1 times 19 would give me 38. So my solution is x equals 38. Example 7. I am told that a rectangle's length is 8 inches more than 3 times its width. If the perimeter is 125 inches, find the length and the width. So it's helpful to draw yourself a picture first. Here's a rectangle. And we figure out what our unknowns are. So we're trying to find the length and width. So the question is, how will I express that with variables? So the width, we don't know, but whatever the width is, we know the length is 3 times that. So if we let the width be our variable, we'll use w for width, then the length is 3 times that. 8 inches more than 3 times that. So we do 3 times the width, and 8 inches more than that would be plus 8 of that. So the length is going to be 3w plus 8. So this here is my picture. It's always helpful to draw a picture, that way we can see what is going on. And then from here it says to find the length and the width. So we need to then use this to find that information. So it says the perimeter is 125 inches. Perimeter means the distance all the way around. So if I add all these numbers together, that gives me the perimeter. So I have 3w plus 8 plus another 3w plus 8. So I have 2 of those. So 2 lengths plus I have width plus width, which would be 2 widths. So the formula is 2 times length plus 2 times width, because you have 2 lengths plus 2 widths. So from here, 2 lengths, 2 times 3w is 6w, and then 2 times 8 would be 16. And that perimeter, by the way, is equal to 125. So here's my equation, and I can simplify 6w plus 2w. That gives me 8w plus 16 equals 125. So to solve this, I can do reverse order of operations. So I get rid of the addition first by subtracting. I subtract 16. I have 8w on the left side, and on the right, 125 minus 16 would be 109. So then from here, I can get rid of the 8 by dividing both sides by 8. And when I do that on the left, I have w. And on the right, I do 109 divided by 8. I get 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract 2, bring down, get a 9. And then I have 3. 3 times 8 is 24. Subtract, I have 5. So my remainder is 5. Write that over the 8. So my answer is 13 and 5 over 8. So that is the width, 13 and 5 over 8. And the length, we do 3 times that and then add 8 to that. So if I take 13 and 5/8, multiply it by 3. The easiest way to maybe do that would be to do write this as a improper fraction, 13 times 8 plus 5. So 13 times 8 is 24, carry the 2, it's 104, plus 5 is 109 over 8. So take what I had, the 109 over 8, multiply it by 3, or 3 over 1. So that would give me 327 over 8. So I have 327 over 8 plus 8. So 8, I can write that as 64 over 8. So we have a common denominator. So from here I can add 327 plus 64. When I do that, I get 11, carry the 1, 9, 3 divided by 8. So 391 divided by 8, that's going to be 4, 32, 7, bring down the 1. That's going to be 8, 64. Subtract, I get 7 as a remainder. So 48 and 7/8 would be the length. So the hard part of this is going to be multiplying and adding the fractions together to get the correct answer. But if you do it correctly, you'll get 13 and 5/8 and 48 and 7/8. And that concludes our lesson for today. We will see you next time.